Welcome to Sinister Type. The channel officially switches to making long-form videos today, promising to bring you captivating stories. This video is best enjoyed during lunch, dinner, or when you need something in the background while studying or working. Today, we'll kick off with a famous horror comedy film, Zombieland. If you love action, surviving zombie hordes, and moments that are both thrilling and hilarious, stay tuned. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss any stories. Now, let's start the video. In just 2 months after some unlucky guy took a bite of a mysterious virus-infected beef, mad cow disease turned into mad human disease in a blink, and the whole world is now overrun by bloodthirsty zombies everywhere. To survive, you need either superior strength or be skilled with weapons, ammunition, or have military or special agent training. However, in John Mylan's words, luck favors the brave. This doesn't hold true for the timid, weak, and anxiety-ridden college student Columbus. The story begins with a desolate, crumbling America where bloodthirsty zombies roam everywhere. Survivors are few and far between, hiding in fear as the zombies could strike at any moment. In this chaotic world, it seems unbelievable that someone as timid as Columbus has managed to survive. But he owes his life to following a long list of hundreds of survival rules, the most basic of which was crafted by an anxious and irritable college senior. Rule number 1, cardio. That's right, training your stamina to run fast and far is the most basic survival skill you need to learn. Rule number 2, don't be stingy with a few extra bullets because zombies live longer than you think. When you're unsure if they're really dead, add a few more headshots just to be sure, because one small mistake could turn you into KFC for a zombie, as it suddenly springs back to life and grabs your leg. Before long, the zombies became smarter. They learned to hunt prey, even catching people off guard during their most private moments. Yes, it's dangerous even when going to the bathroom. Hence, don't forget rule number 3. Always check the bathroom thoroughly before doing your business. When zombies outnumber humans, you must learn to discard all personal feelings because the person you once loved has now turned into a relentless monster. Rule number 4. Always fasten your seatbelt because the ride could get bumpy. 2 months have passed since the first case of mad cow disease, and the lone college student has survived long enough to start believing he might be the last real human left in the country. Though he knows he isn't the typical hero who survives in zombie movies, he's still proud that his strict rules have saved his life numerous times. He is also a diligent student, constantly learning survival skills each day. For instance, after nearly dying today due to a zombie hiding in the car, he promptly added Rule N, always check the back seat before sitting in the car. Still, facing zombies always gives him a fright, especially for someone with a fragile heart like his. After being alone for so long, he craves human contact, having not seen a familiar face or even just someone without blood-soaked teeth or rotting flesh for a long time. While wandering the road back to his hometown of Columbus, Ohio to find his parents, his heart skips a beat when he sees a huge car heading straight toward him. Out steps a real cowboy. Unsure whether he's friend or foe, the two raise their guns at each other, testing each other's intent. Seeing the scared, shaking young man, the cowboy eventually lowers his gun and invites him into the car. They agree not to use their real names, but instead go by their hometowns, giving us the names Columbus for the timid student and Tallahassee for the cool cowboy. While Columbus survives by strict rules and caution, Tallahassee is his complete opposite, acting wildly and possessing top-tier zombie-killing skills. His obsession with torturing and killing zombies is alarming, as though he has some personal vendetta against them. While Columbus's goal is to find his way home, Tallahassee's singular mission is to find and devour Twinkie cakes. It's hard to understand why such a large, fearless man is so obsessed with a snack typically meant for kids. Tallahassee has risked his life multiple times, scouring abandoned cars and buildings in search of what might be the last Twinkie on Earth. His greatest fear isn't death, it's that all the Twinkies across America might expire before he gets a chance to eat them. After finding a car filled with strawberry and coconut-filled cakes, which he hates, Tallahassee vents his frustration by slashing at them with a knife. Meanwhile, Columbus is dealing with the daily struggle of using public restrooms, a terrifying experience in a zombie world. Columbus, missing the warm and safe dorm room toilet he once had, reflects on the rarity of being noticed by a pretty girl in such a world. Yet that very evening, a hot neighbor from room 406 knocks on his door, terrified after being attacked by a crazy man on the street. She describes how he tried to bite her during her walk home from the bar. Resting in Columbus's arms after her panic subsides, the girl falls asleep, but when she awakens, his sweet dream turns into a nightmare. The girl's skin has turned gray and blistered, and she vomits uncontrollably. Worst of all, she seems to crave a bite of Columbus himself. Despite his efforts to reason with her, he is forced to knock her out with 2 well-aimed strikes using a toilet lid. He regrets being so easygoing, allowing a stranger into his home, as the first girl he had ever let into his heart tried to devour him, all because of the mad cow virus that spread to humans, causing victims' brains to swell, turning them into violent and ravenous creatures. Columbus then tells Tallahassee about rumors of a zombie-free safe zone in the east, though Tallahassee dismisses it as a hoax, believing that the whole world has turned into zombies and wishing he could punch Columbus for his naive thoughts. Tallahassee has a dark sense of humor regarding zombies. While they don't deserve love, instead of quickly finishing them off with a gun, he prefers using gardening tools or baseball bats. His only rule: there's nothing left to lose. Killing zombies is an art he finds fascinating. Just after taking out 3 large zombies in the supermarket and getting ready to search for Twinkies, they encounter a distressed girl who seems to need help. Columbus, fueled by hope for a dream romance, immediately follows her. Even Tallahassee, the tough cowboy, is moved when he learns that the girl's younger sister has just been bitten, and they need someone with a gun to give the little girl a quick death. This were dinner enough. The older sister begs to be the one to pull the trigger and borrows Tallahassee's gun, but this touching act turns out to be a con. The 2 sisters, skilled con artists, force Columbus and Tallahassee to surrender all their ammunition and the car keys. Enraged, Tallahassee takes his frustration out on a nearby minivan, a vehicle he despises almost as much as the zombies. While smashing the car with a baseball bat, he yells about wanting his Cadillac back, which the sisters had stolen. Yet luck still seems to favor the 2 men. Tallahassee's eyes light up when he spots a Hummer H2 parked on the street. He is overjoyed to discover the treasure in the back of the car. In the zombie apocalypse, the biggest treasure isn't money, but a large stash of high-caliber guns, just what Tallahassee needs to fuel his obsession with killing every last zombie on Earth. Once his temper cools, he shares with Columbus about the dog he used to love. It turns out Tallahassee once led a peaceful and happy life before the zombies appeared. Now all he dreams of is winning the Zombie Killer of the Year title, living each moment to the full while enjoying little pleasures like shooting zombies. Columbus realizes that despite his tough exterior, there's a lot to admire about this strange cowboy. Further down the road, they come across the Cadillac, parked on the side with a broken engine. Tallahassee grips his gun tightly, ready to confront the thieves, but oddly, the car is empty. Before long, Columbus finds himself held at gunpoint by the younger sister, who had climbed into their Hummer. Tallahassee, seeing her about to shoot, reluctantly hands over his gun. The older sister emerges and the con plays out again. The 2 sisters, Wichita and Little Rock, are master con artists. Before the world fell apart, they could easily swindle hundreds of fools with Wichita's beauty and Little Rock's quick hands. With no home to return to, the sisters lived by their wits, relying only on each other. Despite being tricked twice, Columbus is drawn to the bad girl, Wichita, and is thrilled to ride with her in the car. Meanwhile, Tallahassee is fuming with anger, feeling humiliated for being held at gunpoint by a 12-year-old girl for so long. He seizes the first opportunity to grab his gun back. Wichita quickly retaliates, pulling out a handgun of her own. The standoff is only diffused when Columbus begs everyone to think about their dire situation. They should be working together to survive, not killing each other. Wichita and Little Rock reveal that they're heading to Pacific Plan, rumored to be zombie-free. Columbus seizes the opportunity to ask about the situation in Ohio, and is devastated to learn that his hometown has been entirely consumed by fire. This news leaves him heartbroken and speechless, as losing all his loved ones is the worst thing that could happen to anyone lucky enough to still be alive. As night falls, Wichita finally opens up to Columbus. While listening to her and looking at Tallahassee and Little Rock asleep in the back seat, Columbus starts to hope that these 3 people could become his new family. Suddenly, Tallahassee insists on stopping the car for a bathroom break, and they pull into a Native American souvenir shop along the way. Luckily, there's only one stupid zombie standing guard inside. After days of living in constant fear and tension, the group lets loose, shopping and smashing things in a rare moment of fun. They become closer, and while Columbus and Wichita slowly develop a bond, Tallahassee steps into the role of a father figure to Little Rock. For the first time in a long while, they experience a sense of peace and joy. So, despite it going against their usual survival strategy, the 4 of them decide to make a trip together to Pacific Playland to see what's there. On their way, Tallahassee detours to the Hollywood mansion of his favorite actor, Bill Murray. After wandering around the empty mansion without encountering any zombies, Columbus and Little Rock sit down in the home theater to watch a movie, while Tallahassee and Wichita dance wildly in the living room. Suddenly, a zombie Bill Murray appears, lunging at Tallahassee, only to be beaten down by Wichita with a golf club. When they hear his groans of pain, they realize that he's not a zombie at all. He's just disguised as one to fool the undead. After a wild party, the three of them head up to the movie theater to prank the timid Columbus. But they underestimated him. Columbus shoots Bill Murray dead, delivering a fatal shot right to the chest, much to Tallahassee's dismay. After a proper, respectful funeral for Bill Murray, the group plays Monopoly and shares life stories. Tallahassee, in a rare moment of vulnerability, opens up about his son, Bob, who was killed by zombies, and he breaks down in tears. This explains why he harbors such intense hatred for zombies and acts as if he has nothing left to lose, because in reality, he's already lost the most important thing in his life. Seeing Tallahassee's pain, Columbus feels sympathy, realizing that beneath the tough exterior lies deep emotional scars. Tallahassee clearly cares for Little Rock and even teaches her how to aim and shoot properly. Meanwhile, Wichita finally confesses to having feelings for Columbus, but admits that she's afraid of entering a long-term relationship, especially in such uncertain times. After a good night's sleep, Columbus and Tallahassee wake up to find that the sisters have once again abandoned them, taking all their belongings. Wichita and Little Rock have returned to their old, nomadic ways, avoiding any form of attachment. Soon enough, they arrive at Pacific Playland. The sisters turn on the park's power, transforming the scene into a magical fairy tale-like setting. But in their excitement, they fail to realize that the bright lights and loud sounds have attracted every zombie in the area. Zombies flood into the park in terrifying numbers, forcing the sisters to abandon their car and climb onto the ride tower for safety. Trapped at the top, they can only watch as the zombies begin to climb up, while their ammunition runs dangerously low. Back at the mansion, Columbus is still upset and heartbroken over being left behind. Determined to rescue his love, he sets off in search of Wichita. After much persuading, Tallahassee agrees to come along, realizing that Columbus, though filled with determination, is still just a clumsy, timid student at heart. When they arrive, Tallahassee sees the situation is far more dangerous than expected. He arms himself with every weapon available and charges in to distract the zombies, allowing Columbus to reach the sisters and save them. Tallahassee's heroic move deeply touches Columbus as he risks his life to lure the zombies away. Tallahassee gets the opportunity to show off his sharpshooting skills, taking down hundreds of zombies. Without a doubt, tonight, he's earned his place as the Zombie Killer of the Year. After an explosive and fiery battle, Tallahassee desperately searches for Twinkies, only to find that the last box of Twinkies has been destroyed in the crossfire. While Columbus struggles to find words to comfort him, Little Rock pulls out a couple of Twinkies she found earlier. Though life will never return to the beautiful, peaceful days before the zombie apocalypse, Columbus realizes that without his three companions to share his life with, none of this would have any meaning. Now he has what he's always wanted, a family. A few years later, zombies have evolved into different levels of danger. The lowest class is the Homer zombie, a slow and dumb variety whose antics provide some entertainment for the few remaining humans when YouTube is no longer around. The second type is nicknamed Stephen Hawking because of their sharp intellect and problem-solving abilities. The final, most dangerous class of zombie is the ninja, a silent and lethal predator capable of hunting humans without making a sound. The only noise you hear is your own scream when they strike. Despite the chaotic world around them, Columbus and his group stick together, always trying to find themselves a safe haven. This time, they go all in and decide to seize the iconic White House to settle in for the coming winter. Although the Grand Mansion offers comfort, new problems arise. Little Rock, now a rebellious 18-year-old, butts heads with Tallahassee, who takes on the strict role of her father. In a typical act of teenage defiance, she expresses her desire for a romantic relationship like her older sister, Wichita. But Tallahassee sarcastically suggests she settle for a date with one of the zombies instead. This joke only fuels Little Rock's desire for independence. Despite his best efforts to make amends by gifting her a beautifully crafted gun he found in the mansion, the tension remains high. Meanwhile, Columbus and Wichita's relationship has been going smoothly until Columbus decides to take it to the next level. Unfortunately, Wichita, who has deep trust issues due to her parents' failed marriage, outright rejects the giant diamond ring Columbus found in the First Lady's room. The next morning, the two men find themselves once again heartbroken and bewildered as Wichita and Little Rock have abandoned them, feeling suffocated by the closeness of their group. The sisters are scared of becoming too attached and reliant on others. After weeks of moping around the White House, Columbus and Tallahassee head to a nearby mall to cheer themselves up and stock up for their next journey. Tallahassee is quite thrilled because he's eager to return to his lone wolf lifestyle, unburdened by emotional entanglements. However, while wandering through a candle store, Columbus encounters a bubbly blonde named Madison, a striking contrast to the foul-smelling, zombie-filled world they're living in. The sight of a girl smelling sweet, wearing bright pink clothes, immediately melts Columbus's broken heart. Madison had been surviving by hiding in a freezer, where the cold temperatures kept the heat-seeking zombies at bay. Though she seems somewhat airheaded, Columbus is smitten and begs Tallahassee to let her return to the White House with them, much to Tallahassee's annoyance. Madison constantly compliments Columbus's intelligence and is sweet and easygoing. Tallahassee, on the other hand, is convinced that Madison has survived this long simply because zombies crave brains, and she clearly doesn't have any. Tallahassee decides that when the sun rises, he'll leave, letting Columbus enjoy his newfound. That night, Tallahassee doesn't get much sleep, disturbed by the strange noises coming from Columbus and Madison's room. But the cowboy is abruptly interrupted when he hears a noise in the garage. Running into Columbus on the way to check it out, they find Wichita rummaging through the weapons stash after a month of being off the radar. It turns out that Little Rock has left Wichita behind to run off with a peace-loving musician named Berkeley, whom they picked up on the road. Little Rock, charmed by the romantic songs and laid-back nature of the hippie, decides to join Berkeley on his journey to a place called Graceland, home to the Elvis Presley Memorial. Wichita, hurt by her sister's abandonment, has finally come to understand the pain she caused Columbus when she left him. Tallahassee is furious when he learns that Little Rock is out there with a guitar-strumming hippie instead of a proper gun-carrying partner. In this day and age, that's practically a death sentence. Matters are further complicated when Wichita discovers that Madison, Columbus's new girlfriend, is casually walking around the house. She's shocked that he's moved on so quickly, considering they've only been apart for a month. The next morning, the group sets out in search of Little Rock in the only vehicle Wichita could find, a green minivan. Needless to say, Tallahassee is not happy about it, as he despises minivans, as we saw in the first movie. Still, driving is better than walking, and right now, finding Little Rock is the top priority, so Tallahassee grits his teeth and climbs in. But the trip is far from smooth. Madison brings along a load of luggage and joyfully settles in, which annoys Tallahassee to no end. In his mind, only people and guns deserve a spot in the car, so he silently tosses her pink suitcases aside before they hit the road. The journey is filled with awkward tension, especially between Madison and Wichita, with frequent sarcastic jabs at each other. Madison even wears the giant diamond ring that Columbus had used to propose to Wichita after finding it discarded in the closet. Suddenly, Tallahassee spots a bus that seems like a better alternative to the dreaded minivan. The group battles through a horde of zombies surrounding the bus, and, for the first time, encounters a new breed of zombie nicknamed the T-800, inspired by the Terminator. The T-800 zombies are the apex predators of the zombie world, sitting at the top of the food chain and being incredibly hard to kill. Even after being riddled with bullets, one still manages to crawl close to Tallahassee and only dies after he crushes its skull. The terrifying encounter leaves everyone anxious about Little Rock, who is wandering around out there with nothing but a guitar-wielding hippie for protection. Unfortunately, the bus breaks down after just a few miles, forcing the group to climb back into the hated minivan. While eating a snack, Madison suddenly starts experiencing severe stomach pain, her face turning red, and she begins vomiting. It becomes clear that she must have been bitten by a zombie at some point. Heartbroken, Columbus knows he has to be the one to put her down quickly. Though he feels sad, both Wichita and Tallahassee can't hide their relief at finally getting rid of the troublesome girl. The group arrives at Graceland just as night falls, only to find the place in ruins with no sign of Little Rock. The mood is somber as everyone wrestles with their own emotions. Then they spot some bright lights coming from a nearby hotel called the Hound Dog. Tallahassee excitedly yells out when he sees his beloved monster truck parked outside. It looks like Little Rock and her new boyfriend might be staying here. The hotel owner, Nevada, is a huge Elvis Presley fan and has decorated the place with memorabilia she collected from the old museum. While Wichita and Columbus search the hotel for Little Rock, Tallahassee is overjoyed to be in the presence of so many Elvis mementos. While he's humming along to Elvis tunes and enjoying the atmosphere, Nevada sneaks up on him and knocks him to the ground. After they exchange a few words, guns pointed at each other, Wichita asks about the young girl who had driven the truck parked outside. They learn that Little Rock and Berkeley have already left, borrowing a smaller car from Nevada, who almost Murray-ed Tallahassee, meaning she almost shot him, thinking he was a zombie. If that sounds familiar, it's because Bill Murray's death has become an infamous legend in the years since, and fans have turned it into a verb. To Murray, someone means to mistakenly kill a person, believing them to be a zombie. Columbus goes pale when Nevada reveals that she has sworn to exact revenge on whoever Murray-ed Bill Murray, not knowing that it was Columbus who accidentally shot him. Nevada also informs them that Berkeley and Little Rock are headed to a place called Babylon, a supposed utopia free of zombies, where peace and love reign supreme. It's where many of the remaining young Americans are gathering. However, to be accepted into Babylon, everyone must hand over their weapons, which are then melted down to make peace necklaces, as part of a ritual to rid the newcomers of violence. The group decides to rest at the hotel before setting out again. Tallahassee, for the first time in years, finds himself the object of a woman's interest. He spends the evening making jokes, chatting, and even falling asleep next to Nevada, clearly enjoying her company. The next morning, everyone is rudely awakened by a loud noise as a cowboy in a giant truck, much like Tallahassee's monster truck, barrels into the parking lot. Furious at the sight of his beloved vehicle being damaged, Tallahassee finds out that the intruder is a man named Albuquerque, a rather obnoxious individual, along with his partner, Flagstaff. These two are in many ways perfect copies of Columbus and Tallahassee. While the two college students get along famously, the two cowboys immediately hate each other. Still, Albuquerque shares an important piece of information. The T-800 zombies have been running out of food, and they're now migrating east, where it's rumored that there are large gatherings of survivors. Before long, 3 T-800 zombies show up, having tracked them. Albuquerque and Flagstaff confidently tell everyone to stay inside, claiming they can handle the situation alone. But Columbus recognizes that they're violating 2 of his key survival rules. Never try to be a hero, and don't hesitate to ask for help. As expected, breaking these rules has consequences. The 2 new arrivals struggle to fend off the T-800s, and Nevada soon notices a large bite mark on Albuquerque's arm. He tries to lie, claiming it's just a tattoo, but soon reveals that Flagstaff has been bitten. Within moments, both of them start sweating profusely and vomiting everywhere. The T-800 virus proves to be particularly dangerous, as it quickly turns its victims into high-level zombies. The rest of the group fights hard to defeat the newly turned Albuquerque and Flagstaff, managing to finish them off after an intense struggle. Realizing it's time to get moving, they take Albuquerque's truck, which Tallahassee has sarcastically nicknamed the Beast, but they soon find that it's far too cumbersome to drive. Defeated, they climb back into the minivan to continue their journey. Wichita is starting to come around, softening towards Columbus and thinking about rekindling their relationship. That's when they spot Madison, alive and well, happily driving an ice cream truck. It's a ridiculous sight, but they learn that Madison hadn't been bitten by a zombie after all. She was just having an allergic reaction to the nuts in the snack Wichita had given her. Instead of killing her, Columbus had only fired a warning shot. Reluctantly, they allow Madison to rejoin their group. After more than a day on the road, they finally reach Babylon. Despite Tallahassee's frustration, he's especially angry because, after handing over the weapons, he has no choice but to detonate the grenade that he uses to destroy the hated minivan. Now, with no vehicle and no weapons, they enter Babylon. They find Little Rock on the rooftop, hanging out with Berkeley and the other young people, blissfully enjoying her time. Tallahassee is almost ready to pummel Berkeley for taking his beloved daughter, but seeing Little Rock happy among her peers, he holds back. She deserves the chance to live her life, after all. Feeling left out and knowing that Little Rock is growing up, Tallahassee expresses his desire to leave and continue his journey west, to live out his life as the lone wolf he's always imagined. After an emotional farewell, Tallahassee heads off only to spot a massive horde of T-800 zombies charging toward Babylon. He races back to warn the community, but without weapons, they're vulnerable. All the guns in the settlement have been melted down into peace necklaces for the residents. Tallahassee quickly takes charge, organizing the group to set up a perimeter of fire around the tower, and they manage to blow up a large number of zombies with makeshift gasoline bombs. However, the remaining zombies continue to advance, making their way up the tower, where the group has taken refuge. With the situation growing more desperate, Tallahassee once again makes himself the bait, luring the remaining zombies toward him as he dangles from a crane at the top of the tower. 2 final T-800s grab hold of Tallahassee's legs just as he's about to fall, but in the nick of time, Little Rock saves him by shooting them with a silver-plated gun that once belonged to Elvis Presley, a Christmas gift she had secretly kept. The father-daughter bond is restored, just like in the old days. Meanwhile, Wichita finally admits that whether there are zombies or not, she wants to be with Columbus. The epic proposal finally takes place, and Columbus and Wichita are officially engaged. Their journey ends on a high note, with the group driving off in a limited edition 1955 Fleetwood Series 60, which Nevada had borrowed from the Elvis Presley Museum. Tallahassee, happy and content, realizes that the people in the car with him are his real family. After all, home isn't just a place, it's the feeling of being loved and belonging. The video ends here. What do you think about this wild ride with Columbus and his friends? Should we look forward to a Zombieland Part 3? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Goodbye, and see you next time.